Everybody, welcome back to more Dead Space 2. Or as I like to call it, the best game of the PS3 360 generation. I love everything about this game. Except maybe the multiplayer suite, but we'll get to that. We may even be able to find a match or two at the end of the Let's Play. Oh, there's another bomber around here. Didn't realize that guy was still alive. I knew you guys were worried it was going to be too easy for me making this new game plus. It certainly is still very dark. Where's that? It's always good to be thorough. Especially on harder difficulties when resources are a little harder to come by. More javelin spears and schematic. I guess technically I already have it, but I love how you can see how in only a short amount of time things have really gone to hell here. With unitologists writing script. Or maybe not even unitologists, just people affected by the marker. They get these messages in their head, and they just have to write them out. If you buy the official strategy guide or look at a wiki, I'm sure you can they actually have they have a explanation of what each symbol means. It's like a 1-to-1 for like the alphabet, and so you can actually go through the game and translate everything. Oh, let me see if this said this was the church itself. A Church of Unitology. This will go great, guys. Nothing can go wrong here.
In 2214, a geophysicist named Michael Altman made a discovery that would change history. Buried at the impact site of a crater near the Yucatan Peninsula, he uncovered a divine alien presence. The Marker. The Marker spoke to Altman and revealed a plan that would unify mankind and lead them to a bright new future.
Sort of, if you read the book Dead Space Martyr, it's really interesting to see how they take Michael Altman from that, where he's not a prophet and he's just a scientist, and how the unitologists have warped the incidents that happened there.
Followers mourned his death but found divine solace in his message of unity. They would not allow the truth to be silenced and form the Church of Unitology to bring his teachings to the world.
Yeah, because in the book they discover the marker and it's part of a research team, and he actually tries to stop it, but the people researching it. I'll let this guy finish.
The Titan Station Church of Unitology has flourished into a hub of Unitology worship, practice, and learning. It boasts one of the largest and most beautiful churches in the Sol system, and is often the site of the annual Unitology Enigma Symposium.
I did him a little bit older, but yeah, like the researchers, they didn't want to stop it, the marker of research, and so he was trying to kill it, and so
People flocked to hear more about the marker and the unity it promised after Michael Altman told the world of his profound discovery.
yeah, he was trying to tell the world like what the hell was happening, and like how dangerous the marker was.
215, Altman was assassinated, and thus became the first martyr for the church.
Yeah, and in effect, the unitologists trapped him in an arena with a brute enemy, and it killed him. So that they killed him, and right before he died, they told him he was going to be their first martyr, just to like twist that knife a little further into him.
Its message is just as strong and relevant today as it was when Altman first revealed it. Billions of believers can be found across all social, economic, and cultural groups, and more are joining every day.
Yeah, that's not good. Oh, this sort of has a Dead Space 3 connection.
Glorious convergence, it is important to continue to nurture our relationship with the marker and understand the future it is preparing for us. The marker calls to all of us. It is our duty to approach it with an open heart and open mind.
Yeah, so the first marker humanity found was in Earth. And it was, That is so cool.
It's Tiedemann! He's found you! Into the church, hurry!
I love the, zero air effect. Chosen by the marker. No, he was, trying to stop it.
Why here?
It's one of the few places on Titan Station that Tiedemann can't monitor. Separation of church and state.
No, Dana, we shouldn't be in here. This is the last place we want to be right now.
Isaac! My brother died trying to rescue you. This is important. This will work. I'm in a safe room at the top of the church. Meet me there, okay?
So chapter 4. Things are now starting to get a little deeper into the lore here. I really recommend that book, Dead Space Martyr. I used to read it every year around Halloween. And it's really it does a great job of making like the world like fleshed out, and it's very creepy. It has ideas that were sort of dropped in the later iterations of the series. Let's do that. Such as two kinds of hallucinations brought up by the marker. The one kind is the marker itself trying to get you to achieve convergence, and the other one is like a humanity's self-defense system, where it makes you see stuff and it's trying to tell you like, what are you doing? You don't want this thing. Like, you need to stop it. We get a ton of stasis packs, that's why I'm selling the bundle. Actually, I shouldn't sell all those med packs. I'm gonna buy 2 nodes so I can upgrade a little bit more. Yeah, the second kind of voice is like humanity's inner self-defense, where but you'll see in the book the guy sees his like grandmother, and like what he had been doing was he was been experimenting on some like necromorph tissue, and in the process of doing it, he's like, man, I could really use some like anti-stress medicine. And so he gets a syringe and he's injecting himself with what he thinks is a stress medicine. And his like he sees his grandmother appear, and she's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "See, this thing is getting inside you. You can't listen to it. You must stop this." And he's like, "What?" And he like, sort of like is jolted awake, and he sees like he had taken the necromorph tissue and like injected like the goo into his arm. And by doing that, like, he became like the first. The way to describe it, he's like he becomes one of the winged guys that has like the little proboscis that like flies and lands on the guys and turns them into necromorphs. And he became the first one of them. Just for good measure. And it's really cool how they describe it in the book. So I highly recommend picking that book up if you get a chance.
Isaac, can you see the symbols too? What it means?
Strauss. Yes, I see the symbols.
We are a threat to them. I know it. We have to work together.
Work together? Who's them? You mean Titan? Strauss. Work with me, Strauss.
There's a second novel called Dead Space Catalyst that is not quite as good. It's still interesting. It sort of like describes how humanity figures out how to mass produce the markers. Wait, I might be misremembering that. It has something to do with that kind of stuff.
People reported 2 pressure equalization cycles during services last Sunday. The first was minor and only blew some candle flames around, giving Pastor O'Brien a much-needed, if unexpected, boost in his sermon. The second cycle was more harsh, resulting in a pressure snap that popped people's ears and sent several to medical. That was not needed.
Yeah, notice here, administration indoctrination. More pictures of Altman. And what he discovered was like he like raced to the marker. He was like freaking out because his arm was like morphing into a wing, and he was freaking out. He went to get to the marker, and I think because his grandmother told him to, and he got there, and within a certain distance of the marker was a dead space. That was in air quotes, and it stopped all necromorph activity. His arm stopped moving. He it was all downstairs. His arm stopped moving. It stopped morphing him in necromorph, and he figured out like, oh, okay, this marker. It doesn't just. This marker doesn't just cause this kind of thing. It actually can seal it. Oh. And by being close to it, it acts as a seal against the marker infection. See, I told you we get a ton of oh, hello. I told you we get a ton of stasis packs. Yeah, but then of course, like the military comes in, and they shoot the scientist as he's sitting there, like pretty much begging for help, because he's horrified. You know, like, his body's mutating into one of those horrible things. And at that point, no one had really known. He's morphing into one of these. His arm is like that. And it's sort of like sort of turns into like a body horror story for that chapter. And that is the spark that causes all the bad things to happen in or that causes like the outbreak of the necromorph thing. And humanity sort of has to, well, as part of humanity says, okay, this is a good thing. We want to use this to, like, for military purposes or what have you. Oh, this takes me back to the main area. What is that noise? It sounds like an enemy is like bugging out. And when I say, I mean like, if it sounds like an AI or a piece of the environment is just freaking out on something. Okay, it stopped. Maybe that was intentional. Okay, we're just going to dismember these guys. See, the more bodies you dismember, if there's a wind guy, they can't actually turn them into necromorphs. I guess that's in case you want to go back to this shop real quick while exploring this area. Oh, awesome. We're going to indoctrination. Session in progress.